I wanted to make a Destiny Rising tier list to help you decide which characters you should put your resources into for this particular season. Now, this tier list has a couple disclaimers. This is based on the current season, so the current element types and also the current Shinka types for a different variety of content types. And I've also put a star rating for each of these characters to further kind of explain why I've gone for this tier rating. We've got a star rating for Shifting Gates and PvP, the Expanse, Calamity Ops, the Gauntlet, the raid, and just basic seasonal activities and adventures. So these star ratings, which I've based on researching game, including leaderboards, my own experience, and the overall power and how characters fit into the meta currently, that has driven the star ratings, and then the star ratings have driven the tiers, okay? So basically, whoever's on top is going to be the most valuable, viable characters across all sorts of content in the game, and those at the bottom of the tier list are pretty useless. But that is right now. Maybe they'll get buffed, the content types will change, so they could be useful later, but these are the most powerful as of right now for the next season, right? Now, obviously, this is a bit of a bait. I just put them all up here for a bit of a laugh. That is not how they're rated. I'll be looking off to the side to check my notes, because otherwise I'll just end up rambling. And we'll go in game from time to time to talk about certain content types and why I've rated each character in this way. Let's start with the new character, Estella. I think she's an S tier right now. Firstly, Estella obviously fits into the role of Solar, and right now the seasonal content type is Solar and Void, so that's a plus for her. And the star rating for Shifting Gates, I think she's pretty decent in Shifting Gates, but that is definitely one of her weak points. Her weapons aren't necessarily the best for it, but besides that, she's great everywhere else. The Expanse, she's basically the only Solar character that just always dominates the leaderboards for the Eternity, besides Ningfay, right? Ningfay's at the top, and we'll talk about that later. And there's a couple Tantos, but it's almost entirely Estella, which tells you something. The vast majority of Estella players getting in the top 100 showcases that while she may not be the absolute best for the Expanse right now, she's the easiest in Eternity to complete. So that tells a lot there. So, 5-star rating for the Expanse. But Calamity Ops, she is one of the few characters used, right? We've got a content type right now where we need speed and we need impact and rapid fire, right? And the overall build that I'm seeing people run in the leaderboard, at least, seems to be mostly, Tanto is a bit of a what I would call a surprise pick here. We'll talk about him later. The usual setup is Gwyn, Ningfay, and Estella right now, with the occasional double Gwyn and the occasional Tanto. Those are the setups. So Estella is once again dominating most of the teams at the top of Calamity Ops right now. And basically, these are all the people that have made their way into the highest ranks with this person in Master. And so, we're consistent. It's not necessarily about who's at the top of the leaderboard here, but which teams are consistently getting a decent amount of score, and Estella is always there, right? For the raid, we do see quite a lot of Estellas in the second and third stages, right? We'll see quite a lot of Estellas sort of making their appearance. The first stage, not so much, but yeah, quite a lot of Estellas and Gwyns and Ningfays, and we'll talk about that later. So something to consider. Once again, same story can be told for the third stage. Estellas are starting to pop up, although Gwyn is still certainly very dominant. So there's a lot of Estellas doing well in the raid, so she's got a 5-star rating for that as well. So that puts her very easily in S tier, right? Now, besides that, we have just basic seasonal activities and adventures, with Solar being one of the highlight elements this season. Makes no sense. Makes sense that she's 5-star there. So Estella, straight out of the gate, S tier, amazing. Next, we move on to Gwyn. Probably no surprise that she is also S tier. I think she's really underrated in Shifting Gates. I think her shotgun is really strong at taking down multiple opponents, and her movement's really good as well. Movement and high damage weapons are really the thing you need in Shifting Gates and PvP, so I do think she's pretty good there. I don't think as good as Ningfay, but still amazing. For the Expanse, I've given her a 5-star rating simply because she's basically the only one in the Echoes to dominate the leaderboard. I mean, you don't even see a single other character in the top 50. She's beyond 5 stars for the Expanse. She's the easiest character to do because she's so good at clearing AoE content with her abilities, and it shows itself here. For the raid, Gwyn is everywhere. At all 3 stages, you'll see a lot of Gwyns, which really goes to show that she's amazing in the raid as well. Now, I think one team that I really want to point out that made it into the top leaderboards is this team here. Now, where is it? Actually, I think it's higher up. Yeah, top 5. They got a 3-minute on break-in with triple Gwyn. They only had 3 players, and they managed to get to top 5 in the leaderboard. So that really goes to show a lot about Gwyn's power. I guess we could put Gwyn in her own tier. She's S+, in my opinion. But I will leave that for another day. Going from the Estella thing we just saw a second ago, it really is no surprise that for Calamity Ops, Gwyn is a 5-star as well, because she's everywhere. I mean, it's Void and Rapid Fire and Impact, and Gwyn can do all of those things, essentially. Now, look, we need to separate both Gwyn and Estella from the rest of the group, right? The next following characters are absolutely S tier, but because Gwyn, specifically, and Estella are so good at so many different areas of content, I've put these next characters into A tier, because these next characters are amazing, and they're going to get you through pretty much all of the game, but they are not as amazingly versatile across all areas of content like Gwyn and Estella are. So for that, I feel like it's important we make a distinction. Otherwise, what will happen is we'll have like 6 characters in S tier and all the rest in B and C tier, pretty much. So we're making that distinction. All of the following characters are really good, but they are not Gwyn or Estella, okay? First up, we have Tanto. Tanto, really good. Shifting gates, very, very strong. The sniper rifle and his weapon set is really good, and his survivability there is great. The Expanse, he's actually surprisingly good there, and I'll show you that now. One of the few characters that has managed to clear stage 30, although we don't see as many as we do with Estella and Ningfay, but there are a few Tantos that have managed to do it in sub 7 minutes 30, which is what you need to do to get the full reward, right? So, with that being said, he's definitely good in the Expanse, although not as good as the others, so we've given him a 4-star rating for the Expanse. Calamity Ops, like, you can get through Calamity Ops with Tanto, and he's definitely one of the important characters for it. Like I say, a lot of these teams, we do see a lot of Tantos pop up, but it's not the most optimal team. All right, we're seeing more Estellas, Ningfays, and Gwyns at the top getting high points. So I think in this current version of Calamity Ops, Ningfay, Gwyn, and Estella is the best combo. But if you take out Estella and put in Tanto, you're still going to be able to do well. You're still getting that solar damage that you need. And then, of course, Tanto for the raid is basically crucial, especially for the last stage. I don't think you'll see any teams in the top that don't have a Tanto. I stand corrected, but there is a lot of him. And I guess because now we have Umeco, you can replace Umeco for that piercing when you need it for the piercing shinkers. But if it's not Umeco, it's Tanto, and we will get onto Umeco in a minute. So he's absolutely 5-star for the raid. I think for overall seasonal activities and adventures, Tanto is a straight 4-star. I think that it's a bit hard sometimes because at least this season, there's less focus on impact shinkers and more on rapid fire and impact. Sorry, there's not many piercing shinkers, right? Next we have Ningfay, and oh my goodness, did I want to put him in S tier. A lot of people kind of overlook Ningfay and say that he's not that good, but when you take a look at the stats, you'll be surprised at how good he is in a lot of areas. He might not be so good in the future because he has double rapid fire weapons, but for the time being, he's really good in a lot of places. So he's A tier because, like I say, I want to make a bit of separation between Estella and Gwyn and the rest of the cars, but I do think Ningfay is incredibly good. Definitely the best PvP character ever. The crossbow is busted, and I mean, if we go and have a look at all of the shifting gates enthusiasts, you'll really see a very clear pattern. Sorry, my game actually crashed there, but if we look at server-wide rankings for Shifting Gates, Ningfay, there are some wolves and Tantos, but there are so many Ningfays. He's dominating in PvP. Now, for the Expanse, once again, he really is the only character that is really making a scene for the Eternity stages besides Estella. If we look at the leaderboard here, the top players, there's a lot of Ningfays, mostly Estella, and a couple Tantos, and that's it for the top 50, right? The best in the world are Ningfay, Estella, and Tanto, okay? Calamity Ops is the same story again. It's Estella, Gwyn, and Ningfay, right? These champions are always appearing. It's like everyone always kind of brings down Ningfay, saying he's not doing enough damage, but he's got so much speed and movement that allows him to quickly get through areas in Calamity Ops that I think is really overlooked. Gauntlet Raid is pretty much the same story there. Obviously, you have 6 players there, so it's you could argue that it's a little bit different, but there's still so many Ningfays, right? It's nowhere near as much as Gwyn, but I mean, the top team on the first stage, a lot of Ningfays. Top team on the second phase, still a couple of Ningfays in there. Third phase, you usually see a bit of a different pattern because you need that piercing, but there's still a Ningfay showing up, right? So he's great everywhere. One thing, though, I will say about his overall sort of seasonal power in terms of adventures and activities, not the best, simply because he's full arc. However, if we go to the season page here, we will see that will change in about a month's time. So he's going to have his time to shine in seasonal and adventure activities as well. Right, look, we've basically gotten through the best characters in the game, although we do have to talk about Umeco. I also think she's really good, but not as good as Gwyn and Estella. She's got a great amount of movement and survivability, and she's also got a bit of support power as well in her kit, which is pretty cool. I think she's actually a 5-star in Shifting Gates and is underrated because of her movement powers and the way that her abilities work there. For the Expanse, I unfortunately think this is where she falls flat. No one on the leaderboard has managed to do it with Umeco. I don't know if that will, maybe someone can prove me wrong, but I think there are better choices. I think Gwyn will be the best choice there. Calamity Ops also, it's just not her time to shine there, unfortunately, but she is a clear 5-star in the raid. She takes the same role as Tanto on the 3rd stage and also can be used in other areas to really provide extra support power and debuffs to the enemies, which I think is really useful. So she's the final... Oh, wait, of course we have Yela as well. I think Yola's fallen off a little bit because of the artifact ban, but she is still not bad. She's still occasionally seen in raids, so I'm going to give her a 3-star for that. Shifting Gates, 3-star. Expanse, she's also one of the few characters that can actually clear it fairly well. I'll show you that very quickly now. For Yela, if we go to the Expanse, she's one of the few characters actually does clear the thing in a very quick time on the leaderboard. Sorry, I'm in the wrong one. Yeah, because she's Void, so she's... I did see some. I guess not anymore. I did see some Yodas. Oh, yeah. If you do it like this, you can see some Yodas have done it. So it is possible with her, although not as easy as Gwyn, right? And for seasonal activities, she's Void, and she still has a lot of survivability, so we've given her a 4-star there. I kind of want to just go through the rest a little bit quicker, because that's basically the best sort of story so far. Oh, Wolf. Wolf is very good as well. I think, I do want to say that all of this is kind of about characters without their talent trees. You can easily say any character is great when you've got X, Y, and Z talent tree progress, but Wolf, you basically get the whole talent tree for free as you play through the game. So that is actually an arguable point. Anyone can get this. And Wolf is great, a great character. Shifting Gates, actually underrated. I'll give Wolf a 4-star there. The Expanse a 4-star there. One of the few characters that are, once again, clearing it fairly regularly. If we go to the Expanse and once again go to the leaderboard and filter by Wolf, a few people have done it. Now, bear in mind, if you literally go to a lot of any other solar characters, there's only really Finale, but no one else has even done it with any of these other characters. So Wolf deserves some credit there. The raid, Wolf's pretty useless. I don't know. I'm sure you could probably do it with Wolf, but you're not going to get an amazing time. And so 2-star for the raid. Now we move on to truly... with that in mind, I am going to put Wolf into A just because I think Wolf is a very versatile character that everybody can build up, and you're going to be able to get through most areas of content with Wolf. So definitely don't sleep on Wolf, even though that Wolf is a starter character. Now we get into the questionable areas. First, we're going to start with Attal. Shifting Gates, 3-star. I don't think she's that good. I think her pistol can do some decent damage in the right situations. Especially, I do think there's a little bit of potential there, hiding and waiting to show itself. The Expanse, she's obviously completely useless. She's not going to have any work there. Calamity Ops, once again, she's just not built out for it. Gauntlet Raid, same story. Seasonal activities, I mean, you could probably get away with doing it for her. But I've just given her a straight 3 to 2-star across the board because she just doesn't fit the right roles, right? When it's her time to shine, sure, it's a different story. Maybe there'll be an arc season with the weapons that she has, right? She has this piercing, but there's very little piercing content in the game, and she just falls off, really. There's not much for her to do. But I do think that could change. I think the amount of power and damage she can put out with the right artifacts and combo with the way that she can sort of get over healing from her own healing and then convert that into extra damage could be good, and she could end up being quite a strong DPS type character despite her taking the support role. But right now, not anything in the game really worth holding on to her for, but just keep in the back of your mind that maybe in the future she'll have some potential. Now we move on to the next character. Xuanwei is another B tier to me because he's actually got quite a lot of movement. I think his abilities are quite interesting, and I think that he's going to be able to clear content quite quickly in the future where there is a sort of situation where we've got, once again, where we've got a bit more focus on this arc stuff. I think that his movement is pretty fast. So maybe if we get like a full impact arc season, he may come out somewhere instead of Ningfay. But for now, he's not there yet. He's waiting. Maybe there'll be a chance for him very, very soon. Kaba is another character that I think is deserving of a B tier spot. I think that in some places he can be good. He's really good at clearing PvE. So when the stars align, I'm sure he'll have a chance there. And the same can be said for the Expanse. I think that you could probably clear in the Expanse if you try hard enough, but he's a bit slow. He lacks movement. So not yet, right? I just given him a 3-star across the board because I think that he does a really good job at clearing PvE because of his blind that just debuffs massive amounts of enemies, which really sort of gets them off your back a little bit. And I think he's okay in shifting gates and PvP because blinding other players actually literally flashbangs them. So that can be a bit disorienting. Definitely an underrated pick there. Then we move on to Aora. She's the only F tier character. I mean, look, I'm just gonna give her a straight 1-star across the board. I guess she's okay for like seasonal content. But besides that, where else are you really going to use her? Spread content isn't really in the game much at the moment. That could change, but she has a very restrictive playstyle. I don't know. When there's spread content in the game, spread void, I'm sure she'll have a chance to maybe shine, but the reload function of her kit is slow, clunky, and just lacks the speed that you need to be doing as much DPS as possible and moving across the map as quickly as possible. So I personally think Aora needs big buffs. Big buffs. Then we finally have Finale. Finale to me is just basically the weaker Yolda in a lot of ways. She's solar, so she can do all right with the seasonal activity, but she's not going to do enough in the gauntlet. She can't really hold her own. Calamity Ops, I put her as 3 stars because, she's solar. She has that going for her. Maybe she'll be able to clear it because she does have rapid fire on her first weapon. But Expanse and Shifting Gates, I don't know if she's going to have a chance. So I just put her as 2-star for everything there. Obviously, this is for this season, okay? Everything can change when the season types change, right? But for now, this is my tier list for the characters that are going to get you through the most amount of content with that single character. Estella, Gwyn, absolutely busted. All of these A-tier characters are amazing. B-tier characters have the potential if the right seasonal content were to present itself. And then F-tier, I just think just doesn't fit into the overall content loop of Destiny Rising, which is quite about being fast, efficient, and getting as much damage as possible in all areas. So that's my tier list. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the comments. Cheerio.